Welcome to Rex Arthur TV. This is the Rex Arthur Show where we discuss LGBTQ issues with an LGBTQ perspective and an LGBTQ approach in an LGBTQ plus planet where each and every one of us belongs to one sexual letter or more in the 10-letter sexual alphabet LGBTQIAAP. And we are going on through with Rex Arthur Marathon, RAM. It seems we are having a field day. Of course, when I'm free and I have some time, I'm able to do enough videos. And sometimes you can be free and you're not able to do videos because you don't have something to say. And this is a day when I'm free and I have a lot to say, both here and on the theological channel. So I'll take my time and share what I have to share. And so today I'm sharing another thought I had during the day and the week, a clash of theories, ideologies, and futures. And this is because I'm in philosophical mode. So forgive me or bear with me. And philosophically speaking, there are various futures. There are various ideologies. There are various theories. That's where even you get the word conspiracy theories. People have theories of what the world is all about, what life is all about, what future is going to look like. Everybody has their plans. Now, people need to know that contrary to human belief, there is no one future. And there is no one theory of the world. So, contrary to belief, there is more than one um, more than one a theory or plan or future or um, theory or ideology about life. This is why in economics we have various economic theories. Now, an economic theory is a theory about how the economy is run and how it can be run and how it can be improved. So you find capitalism is an economic theory, communism is an economic theory, mixed economy is an economic theory, and the Nordic economic theory is there. That is the economics done by the Scandinavian countries. And then you have what do you call the monarchical economy, though it's not really there. It's mostly capitalist, but you could call it feudal. And then you have the economic theory of the barter trade, the barter system. It is an economic theory. And then now you have the new digital economy or digital economics, whereby, and it's the newest economy in town, whereby it's not necessarily built because of the economic theory thinking, but it is based because of the digital infrastructure, such as computer network. This is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not necessarily capitalistic, it is actually a digital economy, and it's the latest, and that is where the world is headed. The world is headed to a Bitcoin situation. And even in Kenya and Africa, the M-Pesa system is also a digital economy system. It's not necessarily capitalist, because um, capitalism has its shape and the digital economy has its shape, like Bitcoin has its infrastructure. That's not necessarily capitalistic. It is because in a capitalistic system, only a very sharp capitalist will succeed in it. And in Bitcoin, but in Bitcoin, you don't have to be a capitalist to succeed. You just have to be very good at knowing how to trade with Bitcoins. So practice makes perfect in every economic theory you're in. Like barter trade. Barter trade is all about how well you know how to trade and measure the goods. However, when you compare barter trade to other systems, it's not a very nice system because it's very cumbersome, very ancient. The theory backing barter trade is weak. It's like a wooden spoon with a metallic spoon. The metallic spoon is stronger because the data that made the metallic spoon is stronger and better than the data that made the wooden spoon. So the data of barter trade system is weaker, or it's not nice, or it's not as complicated as the data that made Bitcoin system. This is why Darwin, when he said survival for the fittest, he also meant economic theories, or we can also say economic theories, that the strongest theories survive. Yes, the weakest theories don't survive, but the strongest theories survive. And that's why barter trade collapsed. It's not that it's not there. Barter trade is still there, but it's a weak system because it's so simple. And but the Bitcoin and capitalism, because people are still using money, especially in capitalism, um, it's a strong theory. So it still has, and there are very many players in that system. That's why I always tell people don't attack minorities, because minorities are minorities. Yes, like LGBTQ persons. You don't attack them. You are so many. Straight people are so many. Why are you attacking people who are few? Let them continue as they are. Yes, don't attack someone who wants to who is doing barter trade. That's how they can survive. Don't attack someone who is a communist. That is the economic theory of life. So you have to know the problem. So why, if there are so many diverse economic theories, so many diverse political theories, democracy is a political theory. Monarchy is a political theory. Plutocracy is a political theory. What do you call it? Dictatorship is a political theory. Do you know the fact that dictatorship is loved by people is shown by the fact that they even call it benevolent dictatorship, to sanctify dictatorship, because they were realizing something, that some dictatorships are actually working. You see? So because of that, they even call it benevolent dictatorship. Otherwise, if there was no dictatorship working, believe you me, they would do away with dictatorship, and there'll be very few dictatorships in the world. So that's the problem of a theory. When a theory becomes successful, people can use it. That's the danger. So, like, you see what's happening in Venezuela? Venezuela is a country whose political theory is socialist, and they were punished for practicing socialism in an area that is dominated by capitalists like USA. So when that happened, Venezuela was, and remember, Chavez was a very strong socialist, so strong that his political theory was called Chavezism. Chavezism. That was his system. It was created. Now, the problem of personalized economic theories, unlike Marx, Marx is the only personality whose political and economic theory has stood the test of time. There are countries which are still Marxist, thanks to Marx. But Hugo Chavez was very national, so his political theory was only palatable and able to work in Venezuela and nowhere else. So That's why when he died, Chavism didn't survive like it should have. That's why Maduro has really struggled, because he, instead of keeping the political theory of Chavez going on, he was now confused whether to go back to socialism or Chavez, and in the process, the country collapsed. So, countries all over the world are seeing socialism as not a very strong uh, economic or political theory to have as a country. So it has already, it's spoiling the name of socialist. So anytime a socialist rises up and says, I want to bring a socialist, ooh, you want to give us Venezuela? You see? So that's the game that happens. That's why I tell people China is actually a capitalist state. And the Chinese economy is actually showing you the power of the West. Yes. China is actually the West's dummy, because they have shown you how Western economy is perfect. That if you play Western economics, you will become like China. Why do you think China is now everywhere in the world? It's because they are imperialistic. Capitalism makes you an empire. All the great capitalist countries in the world become imperial before they collapse. But do they collapse? I don't think they do. An empire remains in power as long as it still has power. That's why Britain is still in power. America is still in power. Are you seeing the have you noticed the UN Security Council? It is made up of empires. The British Empire sits there. The American Empire sits there. The Russian Empire sits there. And the Chinese Empire sits there. I'm forgetting the fifth one. I don't know whether it is Japan. Let me see from our dictionary whether we can get the UN Security Council. You know, we don't have an app that is perfectly. Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting the fifth power that sits in the Security Council. Alternatively, I can pause the video and check it. Okay, the dictionary has not mentioned the country. Yes, we're back. The dictionary didn't help us, but the internet did, and it's the application that can't allow me to walk about. So I checked, and France is a Security Council member, but I can't really call. No, France is an empire because the French language is an official language outside France, in especially in Western Africa. Very many Western Africans speak French officially and even nationally. So what does that mean? The Security Council is made up of imperial powers. The most important imperial powers in the world: China, Russia, America, and Britain and France. So all empires are capitalistic in nature. They have a leadership, one leader on top. That's what you need to know. And so, are you seeing? So, when you see China rising, sometimes you are clouded by nationalistic tendency. You see, point of perception is very important. And we are very close to our biological perception, our biological worldview. So when you see a Chinese, you're not a Chinese. So you see a Chinese. So the first thing that disturbs you about that you start perceiving about the person you're seeing, he's not like you. He's not you. So you focus so much on his biological differences, forgetting the intellectual similarities between you and him. Because we all have brains. It's just that, and because we all have brains, we can be like them. So there's nothing different between you and a Chinese if you're a so there's nothing different between you and a Chinese if you're a black person, a white person. We are all the same. But because of biology and externalities, humans tend to pay a lot of attention on externalities. you now bother yourself with, but this person is a Chinese. So when you see China rising, it is that we are really in trouble. But it's not that. Intellectually, you're the same. And as I've told you, intellectually, China is the West. Yes, it is the clearest sign of a country that has succeeded in capitalism. Russia was a socialist state. Today, is Russia called the Socialist Republic of Russia? Nope. Very capitalist, extremely capitalist, even worse than America, because they have a very strong elite, very few who are rich. So it's, in fact, Karl Marx can weep over Russia because it was his best pet project to show that socialism is powerful. Because imagine Russia, when Russia was a very was a so the Russian Empire, the socialist empire, Karl Marx would weep because the Marxist theory, therefore the Marxist ideology, and therefore the Marxist future was to make economies socialist or anti-capital. Now, why I'm saying Russia and Eastern Europe was Karl Marx's best pet project was because before, when Karl Marx started writing his economic theories, Russia was a capitalist state in form of a monarchy. And it was the Russian Empire. You remember the Tsar, and Tsar Nicholas was in power at the time Karl Marx was writing. And when Karl Marx wrote his theories, they resonated very well with the Russians, especially Russian Jews. And it was so serious that Russia did what is called the pogroms. It was the first Nazi program by the Russian kingdom. So when the pogroms happened, they were chasing Jews from Russia. The reason was Karl Marx's ideas were penetrating Russia slowly. So these Russian Jews were chased, and then they went to England to get a safe haven. Now, when they were going to England, Britain was also scared because they were like, why the number of Russian Jews coming to England is very high. So that's when Zionism began, and Theodor Herzl had to sit down to plan the migration of Jews from Russia to their homeland. So they had to sit down and find a country to store the Jews and keep the Jews safe, because socialism was raining havoc in Europe. Karl Marx was a very, very tough man intellectually. Even he lost his German citizenship for that reason. And luckily, Britain kind of housed him. So when that happened to Karl Marx, then something happened to Karl Marx, which was very powerful, or not powerful. Something powerful happened in Russia. The monarchy was disbanded. The great Russian monarchy collapsed because Karl Marx's theories were swallowed by the Russian people. They thought when they chased the Jews away from Russia, that Karl Marx would not disturb them. But even Karl Marx's ideas affected the Russians themselves, the Slav people, because Karl Marx's teachings were not Jewish. They were economic. They were universal. So the poor in Russia, whether Jew or Gentile, could resonate with Karl Marx, and they said, yes, he's saying the truth. We are being oppressed. We work so hard and they're not paying us. So, oh, they're paying us little money. So when the Jews were chased away from Russia, the Russian elite thought that, now we are done with them, they have gone. Now we can control the Slavic people who remained. Because you couldn't chase Slavs, you can only chase Jews. They are not indigenously part of the country. So the Slavs, but they are also poor Slavs. And they liked the ideas of Karl Marx. And that's how Lenin was born. Lenin carried Karl Marx's teachings, and then the revolution happened in Russia. And the monarchy was toppled. Now, when that happened, Russia became a socialist state. Leninism was carrying the day. And the Lenin's theory, then Stalin brought in more socialism. Then USSR was born. The United Socialist States. People think America was the only United States in the world. It was Russia that was also another United States. But it was the United Socialist States, or the States Socialist Republic. So, um, what was it? Russia was the Federation of Socialists. USA was the Federation of Capitalists. That is why when USSR became very strong, USA was fishing out anybody who had Marxist ideas. That was called the McCarthyism period. They were flashing out anybody who was a communist because they knew that what happened in Russia could happen in America. They could topple the capitalist elite. So America flashed out any communist, and that was the end. That's why there is no communist party in America at all. And the closest to communists are socialists. So if you come out like a socialist, they will make noise about you. So that's what happened. So the United Capitalist States, United States of America is a capitalist federation, and then Russia was a socialist federation, and it collapsed because socialism could not, it fought with the capitalist, and the capitalist won. And that's when Russia now became, the USSR now became different capitalist states. Are you seeing the power of capitalism? One of the principles of capitalism is individualism. So what happened is those nations that were united socialist states, they became capitalist states, including Russia. So they even left Russia. Lithuania was born. What's this other country? So many. These even the Czech Republic, and I'm trying to get the names. There are so many. I can just see them, but I can't. Even Ukraine. You see why there's war in Ukraine and the Crimea? It's because they were part of USSR. All of that was Russia. But because capitalism now came, people started seeing socialism had problems. So they said, let's go to capitalist system. That's what happened. And then Russia became capitalist. So Karl Marx's dream of a socialist empire faded. And now Russia is also rich, is quite rich because of capitalism. So they are just Western enclaves, they are Western babies, Russia and China. And they don't know. Or even if they know it with pain. We're still with the West. We can't do anything. Yes, they're still with them. So so that's what did you understand about capitalism and theories, and that there's a clash of theories, and every time these theories have to fight. Look at what's happened in Venezuela. Do you see what happened in Venezuela? It's amongst the last socialist republics in the world. The only countries that have remained true to socialism purely are North Korea, Venezuela. Cuba has gone. Obama went and solved Cuba, and Cuba came back to capitalism, or has now started coming back to capitalism. Now it is only North Korea and Venezuela. It has ended this year because the countries of the world, the capitalist countries of the world, have now have been reinstated Maduro's enemy, I forget his name, to be the president of Venezuela. And they have even declared today, in fact, Germany has just declared that Maduro's government is illegitimate. So, what does this mean? Whatever he does, it's gone. They have recognized the opposition leader to be the president of Venezuela. Because their assertion or their belief is, how can a man who is destroying a country win an election? That's what they are questioning. How this man is destroying the country and he has won? So Germany has said, no, 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 no. We are going with the opposition man. He's the one we want. And so the that's what has happened to Venezuela, and that's the end of socialism in Venezuela. It has ended. And now it's only North Korea, which North Korea, even Kim Jong-un was crying to South Korea that let us unite back to be one Korea. So basically, he's really caving in to the capitalist system and letting go of communism, aka socialism. So the world is becoming, by 2020, the world will be now capitalist completely. And that's what has happened to the world. So the clash of theories is actually, the clash is coming to an end, because the moment the whole world is capitalist, then it means there is no economic theory being fought, because the big war in economic theories was capitalism versus communism or socialism. That was the big war. And that is why North Korea was a very important country to deal with in the 2 years that have passed, especially last year, because it's a socialist country that was fighting a capitalist country called South Korea and America. So if they had unleashed war or bombed South Korea, that would have really caused great damage to the capitalist system and would have disrupted the world economy. So that's what they had to do to fight Kim, or to talk to Kim, to dialogue. And Kim seems to be a very sober man. He accepted dialogue. Now, so in the economic world, there is really no war, because most of the whole world now, 99% of the world is capitalist. So there is peace economically. So basically, and economics, in my view, the most important theory in the world is economic theory. It is not political, not religious, it is economic. Because I was laughing to myself when I did the other video about debt, or in the middle of the video I started talking about debt. Then I was talking about Islamic countries, and I laughed that these countries are pretenders. They say they are Islamic, but they borrow from non-Islamic countries. And I was like, what is this madness I'm seeing here? That you are Islamic and you say, do not even get loans on interest, but here you are trading with interest systems. And I was like, what? Yes, it's because this religion is the opium for the poor. That's what Karl Marx said. Not for the rich, for the poor. You control the poor with religion, not the rich person. Is even Jesus said it. Rich people cannot accept religion like that. He said that how hard it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. It's not because it's hard. They will go to heaven. It's just that they have so much money to even think about the celestial world. Have you noticed rich people don't really bother themselves with religion? It's because there is so much work. they are thinking about how to keep their money. They have seen how money has got them. You see, when you have money and then you get houses, then you get buildings, companies, my friend, you will be more worried about them than be worried about the future of the world. That's why poor people tend to be religious. You see, Africa is a religious continent because of poverty. Yeah. Most atheistic country in the world, with over 60% espousing atheism. And they are number one or number two economically. America is amongst the top 5 richest economies in the world, and only 50% are religious. What does that tell you? The other 50% are strikingly secular. They don't even have time for church, let alone prayer. They don't know what you're doing when you say you're praying. You see why America has problems? It's because it's a bifurcated. 50% are religious, 50% are secular. So that's why, I mean, America is in that confusion. If 30% were religious or 20%, that's okay. They Have you been on a seesaw? You know, when you're on a seesaw and this guy is up and you are down, you see, you are more powerful than him because you have more kg than he has. So what does that mean? um, he cannot bring you down. So when you're in a country whereby 30% are religious and 70% are secular, the secular people are able to front their agenda easily because the the other side is weaker. It cannot fight them. But if the seesaw is equal, there is a war because this guy, you don't know who can win. Each side, any side can win. So that's where America is. That's why America swings. It's sometimes then on the right, it swings to the left. Right swings to the left. Right swings to the left. So that's what's happening in America. That's why it is so chaotic. Their politics is just chaotic. It's because they are equal. The religious right is equal to the secular left. That's the problem in America. But if America was a society whereby 80% are religious and 20% secular, oh my goodness, don't even waste your time fighting the religious right. Just what you do, if you're in a country whereby the religious right is the majority, only go and get your constitutional rights. After that, live your life. Don't bother disturbing them because they're the majority. And vice versa, if you're in a country where 80% are secular and 20% are religious, oh my, don't even try fighting the government. See what happens in China? Pastors are arrested, especially the Pentecostal evangelical churches. They can't be allowed to have churches in the open because the country is atheist. Officially, it's an atheist country. So when you espouse religion, to them in China, you're espousing poverty because Chinese are intellectually and philosophically and in the political philosophy, they are good students of Marx because Karl Marx taught people that religion is the opium of the poor, for the poor. It's the opiate for the poor. So, in China's thinking, economically, they are capitalist. Politically, they are still Marxist. So to keep the people working and rich, they try and make them not religious because religion makes you think about heaven so much that you don't think about life on earth. And that's what happens. Sadly, you end up thinking you were waiting for Jesus. I'm waiting for Jesus to come. He's gonna come and take me home. He's gonna come and take me home. That's what happens to many religious people who take you see why terrorism is very tough in Islamic religion? It's because there's a promise. There's a celestial promise. You will get virgins. You will get virgins in heaven. You have done a good work. for the Lord to make people Muslim. So that's why they bomb themselves. So unless you fix the religion, it will never end. Sorry. It will continue and continue. Because the religion, someone has a belief, there's a celestial promise. If there was no celestial promise, believe you me, no one would bomb themselves. Yes, it's as simple as that. But because there's a celestial promise, you'll be rewarded for fighting for the Lord. You will, you will even do it boldly. It's sad. So that's why we're doing Clash of Theories. So terrorism belongs to religious theory. And now the first part of this video, we focus so much on economic theory and political theory. And I've shown you the seesaw effect, that if you have a seesaw that is so equal, you will have a lot of chaos. And that's what's happened in America. It is 50%, it's divided as a country. Some people believe in God, some don't believe in God. So that's because of that belief system, they have a very different perception of life. You know, an atheist does not see life like a theist at all. Theists, they are so moral. They are very moralistic. What I mean, you see, people, when they hear the word moral, they think they are good. No, it's not good. They are very legalistic. They like giving you laws. Do this. Don't wear an earring. Don't put on a tattoo. Don't wear a mini skirt. Don't watch porn. That is a moral person. He has laws. Atheists they have morals, but their morals are not the subjective morals to do with how you look, whom you have sex with, what you like eating. That's not theirs. Their morals are more universal, like do not disturb somebody's private space. That is an atheist. An atheist will come and tell you off if you violate his privacy. That you're coming in, you want to see, I want to see how you have to take a bath. Oh my God, you're doing it wrong. That the way you're having a bath is illegal. It is against the word of God. I'm telling you, that atheist will come and take you to the police for disturbing him. Yes, because atheists, you should not violate. They know the Constitution very well. Oh my goodness, that one, they know it. Because they know their rights. You see, the problem of religious people or theists, they know their book more than Constitution. Because to them, their book is more powerful than the Constitution. You see, that's the problem we have in countries that have to live and tolerate with religious people. It's because religious people value their writings more than the Constitution. That's why when Christianity started in the Roman Empire, they killed them. You know, the Roman Empire never killed people of different religions. They never. The first group of religious people they killed were Christians. Because of you being a Christian. Reason? Not that they hated the theology. They were wondering, what is this religion that has a king? And they're telling us this king is coming back. So the Roman emperors were very scared that there's some king coming. And when he comes, he's going to destroy these other kings. So if you said you're a Christian, that was just treason. Because you are supposed to respect the Roman Empire. And the Christian persecution, I'll do that in my theological channel, is one clear sign Christians never listened to Paul. Yes, they never listened to Paul. Because Paul kept on telling Christians, pray for the leaders in authority. Then he told them, pay tribute. Then he told them, these guys are in power because of God, so don't attack them. They didn't listen. They didn't listen. And one of the reasons why they didn't listen was because John the Apostle wrote about the Antichrist. Everyone talked about the Antichrist. They were waiting for a bad king to torture them and wait for Jesus to come and save them. So that's what happened in early Christianity. So all the Roman emperors were seen as Antichrist. So that's why when you arrested Christians, they would stand up and say, "My king is Jesus Christ. I will not bow down to the emperor." And in Roman law, that was treason. The moment you said, "I'm not bowing down to the emperor," that was treason. You see? So many Christians died not because they were they loved Jesus Christ. They committed treason. That's what happened. So what do you think should have happened? I th- so I think what should have happened, the Roman Empire should have sat down and studied Christianity or questioned them. Of course, if you read the book of Acts, Festus, the Roman leader, listened to Paul and liked him because Paul was explaining to him Christianity. That Christianity is about a man called Jesus Christ who died for everybody, and now everybody is forgiven and reconciled to God, and he's a king. So when Festus had Paul, he was very happy with him. Actually, the beauty of the Roman rulers, they were very intellectual. So they could have time to listen to someone like Paul. You know, Paul was an intellectual. He's a very clever man and he knew how to talk. So whenever he would face these emperors, he couldn't fear and he knew. And from the looks of things, Paul knew Latin or Greek. I think that time they all knew Greek, even the Roman rulers. The language of the empire was Greek, was not Latin. Latin became the language of the language of it became the language of the empire later on when Greek started fizzling away. But at the time of the New Testament church, Greek was the official language of the whole Roman Empire. So um, this Paul was very proficient in speaking Greek, and he could speak to the Roman rulers who also knew Greek. And Greek was the language of philosophy that time. So everybody understood. So this means Paul could read Greek philosophy. That's why most of his philosophy and most of his writings mirror Plato. They mirror Plato's philosophy. Even you see, Paul used to tell the philosophers of Greece that even your philosophers agree with me. It's because he read them and he knew how to interpret Greek philosophy into Hebrew thought. So the Hebrew, so Paul not only knew Hebrew, Paul knew Greek, which was a very good uh, 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 what do you call it? A disposition. And when you're bilingual, it's very nice because you are able to talk to both foreigners and the locals. That's why it's important to be a bilingual person. So that's what happened to Paul. Paul's bilinguality helped him to to explain issues. But the problem of being bilingual or multilingual is you will have a very weird philosophy of life because you are bilingual or multilingual. So when you have more than one language in your head, you can understand life in a very different way. This is why Paul's letters were hard to understand because most of his audience was monolingual. the poor Jews in the church were monolingual. Very few of them knew Greek. And reason being, they were poor. You know, when you're poor, you don't travel. When you don't travel, you don't know language. It's as simple as that. So that's what happened. Majority, especially the Jewish Christians who stayed in Israel, they remained only knowing their language. So when they read Paul's letters, which sometimes were written in Greek, and another information I want to give you, most of the letters Paul wrote, the only one he wrote to Jews was the Hebrew. The Hebrews, the epistle of Paul the apostle to the Hebrews. That's the only one I think was written in Hebrew. If it was written in Greek, it was written to very educated Hebrew persons who could read Greek or understand. The rest of the letters Paul wrote, they were all to Gentile cities: Ephesus, Corinth, Thessalonica. Which other city did Paul write to? That is there, Colossae. All of those were the cities. They were all Gentile cities, and they were written in Greek. This is why the New Testament is in Greek. It's because it was only people who were bilingual who could understand New Testament theology that time. And the Jewish people that time were poor, so they were mostly monolingual, and the only letters they could read were the letter to the Hebrew and James' letter, because James wrote to the Jews, and I think he wrote in Hebrew. I'll do my research about that. I haven't done it properly. But if he wrote in Greek, it was that he was writing to the Jewish leaders. Because one thing could be for sure, not every Jew spoke Greek. Yes. But the rest spoke Greek. The leaders, the Jewish leaders, had to speak Greek because that was the language to use to speak to the Roman leaders. And remember, Greece ruled Israel for a very long time, hundreds of years. Even after Alexander collapsed and then the empire was divided between his generals, Greek was still pervading Israel and the Middle East. So they knew Greek. And so I don't know if Jesus knew Greek. It's not mentioned anywhere that he spoke Greek. But I I recognize, or I reckon he spoke Hebrew and Aramaic. He didn't really find time to, he didn't want to learn Greek. That could be my assertion of Jesus Christ. But the rest of the leaders, especially Paul, not the disciples. That's why people even complain. They don't think Peter wrote the letter of Peter because of his linguistic prowess. He was only good in Hebrew. The time Peter was the disciple of Jesus, he was older than Jesus. So how can it be that he learned Greek that fast? No, he just, even though he went to Rome, he went there as with very a smattering of Greek. But that's what you need to know about church history. So now that what I'm talking about is now religious theory, and there's a clash of religious theories. So the Christians have their religious theory that Jesus Christ is to come back again, and then they have a view that there's an antichrist who has to come. So most Christians, especially end time Christians, are waiting for the antichrist. They are not waiting for Jesus Christ. They are just waiting for the antichrist first, because they believe that there has to be an antichrist in the world before Jesus Christ comes. But for Jews, it's different. Jews believe Jesus Christ was not the Messiah, because if he was, he would have saved them the time he came. Yes, for Jews, they have no time for Jesus, because they wonder, this guy came and he didn't save us. So what makes you think he's going to save us when he comes back again? So So what does this mean? For Jews, they are always looking for a Messiah. They are not looking for the Antichrist. No. They are looking for a Messiah. Christians are looking for the Antichrist. Because when they see an Antichrist, then they will know their Messiah is coming, because their Messiah is to come from the sky. But the problem I have with the Christian notion that Jesus is to come from the sky is this. NASA is outside in outer space with their satellites. You know, these days I go to YouTube and watch the outer space events. You can see the world. Yes, it's beautiful. Oh my God. It's so beautiful. I don't know what to say to scientists. It's beyond. What can we do to pay these great men and women who have made us know the world? It's just, all you can do is just kiss them. And when you watch those videos on YouTube, live satellite feed of what is happening outside Earth, it hit me today that if Jesus is to come, do you know the satellites will know? And they will alert us that there is someone who is coming from the sky outside space. He's coming from Cassiopeia, or he's coming from Serpents, or he's coming from this side. He's landing. He's going to land. He's going to take a few minutes to land on Earth. That's what should have happened. That's how Jesus is going to come, because in the past there was no NASA, so nobody could alert us that something is coming from outside. You notice asteroids today, we can know when an asteroid is coming to Earth thanks to NASA and ESA and the Roscosmos, the Russian one. We can now know when Jesus Christ is coming. So nobody is going to miss Jesus. According to the Christians should know this. Everybody is going to be with Jesus, because the time he's coming out of the sky, according to their teaching, he won't come very fast. And it says he'll come with the armies. What makes you think those satellites can't capture that? They will capture. They will capture. There's no way horses coming from the sky will not be captured by satellites. They are horses. They are physical. They have material. They are material. Unless you're saying he's going to come invisibly and then poof, appears in the earth in an invisible way. But even if he does that, we'll sue him. So anyway, that's what Christianity believes, that he's to come from the sky. But I'm telling you now, with science and technology, you can know what is coming to the earth from a distance. Yeah. Then you come to Muslims, their religious theory of time or their future is that the Mahdi is to come, and then the world will come to an end. For Muslims, they are not really waiting for a Messiah. They are just waiting for Judgment Day, for some of them, like the Shiites. But the Sunnis don't believe in Judgment Day. They believe the world will become a Muslim caliphate, that the whole world will become Muslim. And they are not waiting for a Messiah. That one, they know. They say Jesus Christ will come and then he'll live in the world, then he'll die. That's their belief. Because in the Quran, they believe that Jesus never died. Though they know Muhammad died, they know, because Muhammad also valued Christianity, and he knew the teaching was Jesus Christ never died. He resurrected. Rather, sorry, that's the wrong statement. He died and resurrected. So Muhammad forgave Christians. He didn't attack that belief, because when Muhammad was in Jerusalem in AD 600, that was a teaching he was hearing amongst Christians, They're always telling him, you know, Muhammad, our savior, he died, but he resurrected. So Muhammad was like, what is this, guys? What are they telling me now? That there's a man who died and he resurrected? I think I'll write it in the Quran. Well, there are two things you can say. If Muhammad wrote the Quran blindly, you know, or not blindly, but by his own natural thinking, he would have put that story of Jesus there. But if he truly had a vision from Angel Gabriel, as he said, and which we're going to do a video about Angel Gabriel and all the angels, do you know angels never die? That's why Satan is not dead. Even Angel Gabriel is not dead. So, and I've been doing a death series in the theological channel, and what I want to share in part 3 is that the human beings become angels when they die. Reason being, angels are spirits, and they can turn into anything. Yes, they can turn into anything physical. They can even feel an animal. You see, like the donkey story, the one of Balaam, I believe the angel was in the donkey. Or let me give, you know, these days I AI my theology. I artificially intelligentize my theology. So what that means is I rely on outcomes. So outcome 1 is the donkey really talked on its own and then an angel appeared. Outcome 2 is the angel is a spirit, so it filled the donkey and spoke through it, took over its mental capacity and spoke. Then when Balaam realized the donkey is talking to him, the angel came out of the donkey and appeared before him. So the power of transformation. What I'm trying to say is that angels have some powers. They can transform into beings. They can transform. They can enter things, like being filled with spirits or demon possession. It's just angels filling you. You know, contrary to what people know, when people hear the word demon, they think it is demon. No, they're angels. All demons are angels. They are spirits. So when you are filled with a spirit, you are filled with an angel. Yes, that's what you need to know. You're filled with an angel. And Jesus Christ, the reason why he was not called an angel was because he was born. But you need to understand, angels can even transform their body to physical being. Yes, physical. So we'll do an angel series in the theological channel QSTPS. But what I'm trying to say is that when people die, they become spirits. They go back to God. All of them go back to God. Then they become spirits. They become angels, messengers. This is why some people have dreams. You know, someone was telling me he had a dream of Julius Nyerere coming to talk to him. And I told him that was his spirit. He came. He's alive. He's always walking. And he talks to many people. Yes, they don't die. That's what people need to understand. Nobody. What dies when we die is this flesh. It's the one that dies. But the rest, the real you will forever lives, and it becomes an angel, a messenger. An angel is just a messenger. You know, go and send a message to this person. I'm coming to do this. So you see, like when you dream a dream of somebody who is like that friend of mine who dreamt of Julius Nyerere, it was his message coming. However, these days in parapsychology, you can play games. You can even use somebody. You're joking with the paranormal sciences. Just as they are natural sciences or normal sciences, they are paranormal sciences. And it is up to you to study them And the beautiful thing about science is practice makes perfect. So read it and know. You'll be shocked at what you can do. So that's what happened to. So what I'm trying to say, some people can use an image of an angel. So Muhammad saw angel Gabriel. To him, it was angel Gabriel. And angel Gabriel is the one that narrated to him the Quran. Even Moses, to some Messianic Jews, even I used to have that belief. I believe uh, Moses was narrated the story of the world by Jesus. Yes, he went and he told him how the world began. So he wrote down. That is what the Torah, how the Torah was written. Because he saw an angel. Now in the Bible, Hebrew, the name angel is God's. Elohim. When they talk of angels, they talk of Elohim. So you need to understand that about angelic theology, which will follow in the theological channel, not here. Now, so Muslims got the theory that there'll be a Mahdi and that Jesus Christ, if he's to come back again, he'll come back but die. That was Muhammad's writing. He'll come back and die to fulfill the prophecy. But the Muslim caliphate is their goal. So now as we conclude the video, you see everybody has their future, diverse futures and diverse theories and diverse ideologies. Now atheists also have their future. Yeah. And transhumanists are even working closely with atheists in the sense that they don't envisage people to really focus on Jesus, a physical Jesus coming to the earth. But when they envisage or plan or futurize is to make the world a better place technologically in such a way it will be so super technological. That's what transhumanists are doing. And let me tell you, they'll be successful. You're joking. A human body is going to be resurrected using science, not prayer. Wait and see. They will inject a dead human with stem cells and they'll come back to life. Wait and see. This video is not going anywhere. I said it already. That's how powerful transhumanists are becoming, thanks to artificial intelligence and thanks to information technology. Because I've been telling people everything in the world is mathematical. Right now, the mathematics here. All the topics in mathematics are here, even the ones that are not. Do you know, we make a mistake, as I already told you in the beginning of the video. We think language is total and perfect. No, it's not. Language is not perfect. It has gaps and weaknesses. The reality is humans are we are still looking for truth. So just because you've studied mathematics does not mean we have covered all the topics in mathematics. We don't know. These are the topics in mathematics today are the current ones we know. But it doesn't mean we have finished the whole of mathematics. Absolutely not. And that applies to every branch of science in the world. We do not know. All the sciences we know, we do not know whether we have reached their end. Yes. Even colors. You think we found all the colors? like computers. You know, computers have already found the known colors. Actually, maybe colors you can say we finished them. But there could be another way to make colors different. Yes. You think we finished? We haven't finished. You know, colors belong to the topic of light. Yeah. So don't think we finished exhausted light. We haven't. The farthest we have known about light, we have written. because our language, that's the farthest it can go to explain. But when we get a very new thing, because you see, the other problem we have in science is speed. We cannot travel to another world and come back in a minute. That's the saddest thing. The saddest thing is that we are limited by speed. Because you can go to a multiverse, another universe, universe number 26, and find a very different world altogether. And then you come back from universe 26 within 3 days and you tell us that this is what is happening there. And the way they do things, people are walking upside down. Their heads are. Yes, it can be possible. Imagination is everything. You can imagine anything in this world. We create thought with the brain. So that's what you need to understand. That's where we are in the world. So there's a clash of ideologies, especially in different places. Economic theory, there's no clash. The world is now becoming capitalist. So that's a closed chapter. And that's the most important theory, economic theory. Second, political theory, there are some clashes because we are having identity politics versus democratic or majority politics. That's where we're having a lot of war. And then you have the racist and nationalist politics. So there's still some war there, and it will take a lot of time for it to subside. Then in the religious or philosophical battlefield, the war is forever until one of the theories wins. I think the one that is going to win is the atheist technological one, or the transhumanists. Transhumanists are not necessarily atheists. They can believe in Jesus Christ. Majority of transhumanists are Christian. Muslims, I tried to research, there are not so many Muslims who believe in transhumanism. It's only Christians. Majority of them are Christian. I bet on them. Reason being, we are already living in a technological world that is very powerful. We have already known outside the world. So we don't even need to fear aliens. Do you know we will know even if aliens are coming? Because if aliens use flying saucers and we have satellites out there we have outer cameras, they are even taking pictures of outer space. Who tells you that we will not know when aliens are landing? Unless aliens have objects that can become invisible when they are in the sky, then when they enter Earth, they become visible, which is, that is going to be power I have never seen in the world. The only person who did that was Jesus. He could enter a room without coming through the door. That is where you call transformation, transmutation. You change. It's beautiful that you can transfer, you can transform, you can appear physically without entering a door. That's what I'm now trying to say. Unless you say that's how aliens will come. They will come. First of all, they're invisible in the sky. Nobody, no satellite, no radar can pick them. Then when they enter space, you finally see the object. That's my take. So anyway, enjoy the world. Every day we are going through warfare of different kinds, because some people, we all have different philosophical views. We all have different views of the future. We all have different views of life. We all have different views of philosophies, perception. They are all different. So that's why sometimes we don't get along with people, and that's why we like staying with people who view life like us. You see, that's why homonormativity is also natural. It's because people want to stay with people who think like them. They don't have time to stay with somebody who doesn't think like them. That's what happens in life. That's what you need to understand. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us.